passing. Yards, touchdowns, shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick, believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. We just had week number 4. We're moving on to week number 5. Ron, I know we had our instant reaction report after our team's loss, but how do you feel going into week number 5?
Not any better, to be honest with you. I'm not really excited about this game. Not excited about the direction of the team. That team is going. You know, what can I say? I mean, it's football. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not. I have, my expectations are low.
Listen, I know that both our teams are not the dominance that they once were, but it is only week number 5. We only had 4 games, and we'll talk about our current state, but I think that it's such a, it's like 1/4 of the season gone. So let's just talk about what's in the news, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of our teams. And let's talk about the J.C. Jackson trade. Apparently, with Gonzalez going down, Jack Jones, who knows if he's going to play anytime soon. Jonathan Jones, same thing. I know he's been kind of in the injury list and off the list, but I'm not saying I love this trade, but you got to get bodies, man. You got to get somebody. That dude Wade last week, he just wasn't it. Miles Bryant, he's not really meant for an outside cornerback. He's more of a nickel dime package. So I can see why this trade happened. I mean, J.C. Jackson wasn't really loved by the Chargers defense. I think 2 times already he's been like a healthy scratch. So, you know what? I'm not mad at it. We need bodies. Yeah,
listen, the contract is going to be reworked. I know Chargers are paying a majority of what's left on the contract. Patriots needed bodies. They got someone that's familiar with their team. They're familiar with. So I think it's a win-win situation. They're not giving up a lot, right? What is it, like a 5th round pick or something like that?
Yeah, it's a way down draft pick.
Yeah, so I think it's a good deal for both teams. I don't think J.C. Jackson, what they thought they were getting, the Chargers, so it didn't work out there. Maybe he can salvage his career, with the Patriots.
Well, I think, it's the whole thing. Like he works well within the system. I don't think he was Stephon Gilmore, where you're getting an individual cornerback that does well, man-to-man, zone, whatever. You get J.C. Jackson, him and his agent, they kind of pushed the price up to the point where Bill Belichick was like, nah, I ain't paying for that.
Yeah.
And of course, they found a suitor in the Chargers. And so I'm not mad at the trade at all. So the next set of news is Kenny Pickett is actually practicing. He got a brace on. Will he play, or is it time for Trubisky?
Seems like he's going to play. He's going to do everything to try to play. He said he felt okay. He's going to see how the next couple days of practice goes. But he's expecting to play from his comments today, with or without a brace. He doesn't know. So, my guess is that he'll be out there. I think some of Steeler Nation would prefer him not to be out there, to be honest with you, just based on his performance so far this year. But, if he's healthy enough to play, I'm fine with him playing.
I know this is how I feel about Matt Canada. Whether he has a healthy Kenny Pickett, unhealthy Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, it doesn't matter the quarterback.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with the Steelers and Matt Canada, running things? It's just like, you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. I really want Kenny Pickett to play, but will it matter?
I don't think it matters, right? So Tomlin talked this week in his press conference, the most overhyped press conference. Everyone was waiting for a big change. And I'm to find out there wasn't really any change other than being in full pads, for the Wednesday practice. So, listen, I don't know what we expect to see different. I know there's going to be some offensive line moves just because out of necessity. There's some players that are hurt. Outside of that, I don't expect much to change from an offensive side of the ball. Kenny has to play better. The whole team has to execute. Like the offensive line needs to block better. Everyone needs to play better offensively and defensively. And, it's not fair that Canada's getting all the blame, although he deserves most of it. But, the team, the players have to step up and do their part, a lights on Sunday.
Yeah, because I saw I don't know if it was the NFL Network or if it was ESPN, but I saw a quick, kind of interlude into what Mike Tomlin said and about how they were out physical. Mm-hmm. They were, how physical the Texans were compared to them. And they were like, oh, this is not an offense coordinator or a defense coordinator. This is just Pittsburgh Steelers got outplayed by the Texans.
I think what he was saying is that one team showed up and the other didn't. And that comes down to coaching, right? The coach is not preparing their players to, be ready for the game. That comes out to the players too. They themselves not being ready, maybe overlooking the Texans a little bit, and not playing to their potential, from jump when the game started. I think that's what he's talking about. Now, to your point, it doesn't solve the issues with schematics like play calling, right? Those issues are still a major concern on offense and defense, to be honest with you. But more so on offense, we're seeing because we're not scoring at all. I think we're averaging 10 points or something like that offensive each game. So it's worse than last year. Something needs to change. Being physical, yeah, that has to change regardless. Everyone should show up, when their game starts. That's what they're being played to do. That should be a given. But regardless of that happening, they got to execute, right? They can't miss their assignments. But the play calling has to be better too. The coaching has to be better. There's lots of room for improvement. So yeah. I don't know, to answer your question, going back to if it's going to make a difference. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is, and who you guys play this week?
Ravens.
The Ravens, okay. And we'll get to that. The other set of news, Chandler Jones. What is going on? Is this a mental illness or is this just him experimenting with all kinds of drugs and not really having, I don't know. I don't even know what to say because I know when he was with the Patriots, he was a good player, but he did a lot of weird things. And I think I actually remember maybe 2013, around that time, he actually got caught running butt naked.
I remember that.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick said enough and just cut him.
Yeah.
Didn't even ask any questions. Wasn't like, hey, can we get you help? What's going on? He just said, nope, you're not going to be part of the scene.
Well, they probably did something behind the scenes, right? That's not public. Probably try to get him some help.
Yeah, they probably did something to the point, and that was it. That was the fact where they were like, okay, we're out. So, are the Raiders not following that procedure?
No, they're out. They cut him, right? So they're done. They've tried to publicly keep everything hush-hush and be respectful of Chandler Jones and what he's going through. They've tried to handle it in a professional way, and I think Chandler was just like too far gone, and they just decided, like the Patriots did, to cut their ties. Now, I'm sure, even though he's not on the team anymore, they're still trying to make sure that they reach out and provide him whatever help he needs. I don't think he's going to be completely abandoned by the Raiders, Patriots, or the whole NFL community. But that's something that he needs to figure out on it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the guy. The fact that he has access to his phone, obviously he has access to his money. There's just a lot of things that he have access to that he shouldn't, and it's all playing out for the world to see. Whether it's on social, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case might be, he's just. I mean, this is the kind of person that needs help. I think I saw a video where he just started crying for no reason.
Yeah, he was saying some crazy stuff.
Yeah, just saying crazy stuff that, really there's no physical evidence that he can actually show what he was saying was true. So
talking about Hernandez, right?
Hernandez being killed or committing suicide. So it was just like, dude, what are you talking about? So I feel for the guy. I mean, he was a great player.
Mental health is not a fun thing or funny thing to joke about. It's serious. It affects like lots of people, everyone. He needs to get like some help, And the good thing is that there's tons of support out there. There's tons of medication out there. Some of it is going to be trial and error. It's not something that'll be fixed like next week, but he has to take, I think, the first step to get help, right? No one can force him.
That's what I'm about to say, is that you can't bring a horse to drink water, right? He's like, he has to want to be helped.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to be helped or he's at that place is very hard to gauge. But the fact that he's gone public with all these issues is kind of sad. So that's what we have for NFL news. Let's go over our week 4 picks momentarily. Let's start with New England at Dallas. I thought they were going to win 20-17. You had Dallas winning 24-20. It was 3-38.
Trucked.
What else can you say?
We talked about it already,
yeah,
so there's not much
about it. It's just,
to say about either of these games.
Yeah. Pittsburgh at Houston. We both had Pitt winning. You had 28-16. I had 24-17. Final score was 6-30. Again, there's no need to repeat what was said.
Yeah.
These two games were like lopsided losses.
Yeah.
But I double dipped, which now I know why you shouldn't do that, because now
you're upset special.
Yeah, for my upset special. So it was like, but I didn't like the matchups. You went with Denver at Chicago. Chicago winning 26-24. Denver ended up winning 31-28. Ron, why were you so high on Chicago?
Chicago was up by like 20 points or something like that at one point, and Denver just reeled them in. And that's probably what's going to cause their coach to be fired this season. They were up big. I don't know what the heck happened. I just thought it was an opportunity for Chicago, especially given all the noise with Fields' relationship with the coach and how they made up in public and all this other stuff. I thought it was an opportunity for them to bounce back and show, the whole country that, hey, we might be 0-3 at the time, or 0-1 and 2. I don't know what they were. No, they were 0-3 at the time. But we're still gonna come out and play well. Well, they did okay. They were leading 21-7. It looks like at the half, and then the fourth quarter they got outscored 17-0. So
you can't blame it on Justin Fields, because he actually had a good game. I mean, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing. He had a 135 rating, QBR 69. That could have probably not helped by that interception, but you can't blame Justin Fields.
Yeah, no.
So who got to blame the defense, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, coaching, right? To some extent, something had to and I didn't watch the game or anything. I just had my gut feeling was that Chicago was going to win that game. At the start of the game, I felt good about how that was going, right? And yeah, obviously, I was wrong.
The other game, the other thing is that 171 yards rushing for Chicago. So it's not like they weren't running the ball. It's just, it was one of those weird games that up by even the third quarter, because I guess Denver scored 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. This was just a disaster for Chicago. And last week I was just going off on how Chicago, the city as a whole, is just terrible. They're doing bad. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
They're just bad. So now that we have, before we get to our rankings, now that we have kind of like a quarter of the season gone, Ron, how do you feel about Pitt? You had them pick to win 12 games. 12 games, right?
Yeah, 12 games.
So how do you feel about that pick? What's going on?
Yeah, I was disillusioned, by what happened in the preseason. They are not going to get to 12 games. I don't know if they could even get to 9, honest with you. Just the way that they're playing offensively and defensively again. I would be shocked if they can get to 9 wins. But you never know. This is like the week that, the Ravens, this matchup, this is, where they can like come back and surprise everyone and beat the Ravens. And, maybe after the bye week next kind of, but I don't have any faith that that's what's going to happen. I don't feel confident in the team at all. And like I was telling you earlier, something needs to change. Someone needs to get fired. I don't know who that is. But something drastic has to change. The whole culture, it's not what it used to be. I think, that saying, the standard is the standard. Well, the Steelers standard has changed. It used to be about getting Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. It was always like that, under Cowher, Chuck Noll, even Tomlin his first couple of years, that's what it was. But, and ever since previous Rooney passed away, turned it, handed it over to his son or whatever, that standard has changed, right? Now it's about, let's just not be under 500 and we're okay with losing playoff games. Forget about the Super Bowl. We're okay with losing playoff games. So the standard has changed. So, it's not good to see, unfortunately. I just hope something drastic happens soon, or we'll be sitting here again next year talking about the same thing.
I mean, there's some games, some winnable games coming up in the docket. You have the Rams, who all of a sudden have come back to life.
Do you have any faith? Like, how much confidence do you have the Steelers can go out and beat the Rams?
I mean, I picked them as my North Division winner, and after 4 games, you had them going 4-0. I had them going 3-1. They're 2-2 right now. They have the Jaguars, they have the Titans, they have the Packers, the Browns, Bengals, Cardinals. So it's not. I think at the beginning of the year, I thought that those games were cakewalks.
No.
Now they're not. Even though the Bengals are kind of reeling, the Cardinals are all of a sudden trying. The Browns, they still need to figure it out. Then you have the Jaguars. I think that's a beatable. That should be a beatable game.
I don't know. Let's say this week we lose against the Ravens. All of a sudden we're 3. Go in our bye week, face the Rams on the road. Haven't played well on the road. Rams are playing good. It wouldn't shock me if we lose that. It wouldn't shock me if the Titans, Packers. None of these. There's no gimme win. Even the Cardinals with Dobbs. Look how hard they're playing. nothing is for certain. I don't feel confident in any of these games that I'm looking at, because there's just a problem with the offense. Is just too big. Can't solve that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to put a negative quotation on what the rest of the season might look like for the Steelers, but it's not going to be a cakewalk, basically.
No.
It's not going to be a cakewalk. They're going to have to really play hard. Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky, whoever the quarterback is going to be, is going to have to figure out a way to, take Matt Canada's offense or play calling and just kind of add a little flavor to it. I don't know how.
How is a second-year quarterback?
I'm taking a book out of the Ben Roethlisberger.
That's not going to happen.
Listen, you just gotta, because that's the only thing that works.
Yeah,
and we know Big Ben. That's the only thing that worked for him.
But a rookie or second-year player isn't that. And Trubisky's, it's only his second year on the team too, so he's not going to do that either. So it's up to Tomlin to make that decision. He has to do something different. He hasn't done it yet. We'll see once we get past this week what sort of performance we get from the team. Then we got the bye week. It's a perfect opportunity to, fire the coordinator at that point during your bye week and figure out what you can do for the rest of the season. Forget about wins at that point if you fire your coordinator. It's about development. That's what it needs to be. How can you get Pickett and these young players back to continuing to develop their game so that next year they can be better and you can have a legitimate chance of getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, this is, are you throwing away the season? Is that what you're saying?
I need what their performance looks like this week. They come out and have a repeat of last week. It's a done deal.
Talking about throwing away the season, with the Patriots, I originally picked them not to make the playoffs, right? With 9 wins, because I don't think that was it. Now, after 4 games, they're talking about Bill Belichick's job is in jeopardy.
After the season or during the season?
After the season. Saying that his job is in jeopardy.
He's not going in. Not until he gets that right.
The thing is this. When I went to that Patriots game, that first game, to see the Tom Brady ceremony, I think that was a little bit of closure. I think that I realized that day that things were never going to be the same. It's like I was thinking about a metaphor, like a band, right? You have a band, when they're together, they made all these records and all these hits and all these years. They were so good. And you went to the concerts and you bought the concerts, and then the band separated. One member kind of had a little bit of success, but then he retired. The other member is still trying to find that magic. They buy my stuff, buy my album. It's not as good as the original one, but still buy it. And I think you can only go so far with that respect. And I think that when I went to that game and I saw the ceremony and I saw, all the highlights, Brady highlights, I was like, you know what? It was a good run. It was a good run. Now, whether this franchise is horrible for the next 2 years, I'm actually okay with it. Me personally, I'm okay with it. The young fans...
Oh, yeah. Same with the Steelers.
The young fans that never seen this franchise lose basically. And I'm talking about the teenagers, the people in their 20s, even in their early 30s. They were just get this old guy out of here. Get this old guy out of here. And
what have you done for me recently?
Yeah, it's you know what? That's the name of the game. I mean, if you want to maintain new fans and you want to maintain fanatics, basically, you have to win. So to me, even if Bill Belichick ends up being fired after the season and he goes on with another team, you know what? Get that record.
Yeah.
Because, to me, I think someone said it best. It's an individual record.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. I mean, it has a lot to do with the Patriots, but it has to do with Bill Belichick and whether when he was a head coach with the Browns, he was a head coach with the Patriots, and maybe he's a head coach somewhere else. But I'm fine with it because it really is an individual record, an individual, most coaches win. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with you. And at a fan's perspective, yeah, no one gives a damn, it doesn't represent the Patriots, but I think it's going back to your story. To me, it's still unfinished business. Brady did his part. The other part is Bill crossing that finish line to get his record. And Kraft, as much as it means to Bill Belichick, I think it means a lot to Kraft too, to have Belichick accomplish that as a Patriot. So,
I think it does because when you think about Robert Kraft, you think, I let Brady go for you. So we're going to do this together.
Yeah.
We're going to do this together no matter what.
Right.
But,
it just might take him 2 or 3.
Yes, it might take him 2 or 3 years. So going back to this season, they're 1-3. They haven't scored more than 3 touchdowns since game number 1. They just lost 2 of their best defensive players. Gonzalez for the season, Judon maybe for 2 months, maybe longer. My expectations are like, hey, if they win 6 games, I'll be happy. That's how low.
Yeah.
That's how low, because you can't say, I feel like when you listen to the radio back in Massachusetts, back in Boston, it's so much negativity and so much like, hey, we need a new regime. We need to, and you just be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude can just, and I'm talking about Bill Belichick, next week can be like, you know what, I quit. And I'll be fine with that because he already accomplished enough. He doesn't owe this team anything. Now, like to your point, he does owe Robert Kraft. Like, hey, you stuck by me even when we let the go. So, again, is Mac Jones the fix for everything? No, he just doesn't have the weapons.
Right.
He can't do it all himself.
Yeah.
As we saw against the Dallas, I think that's what happened. He tried to do it all himself. But 5 touchdowns through 4 games. They don't have anybody receiving yards that has over 1,000. They don't even have a runner that has over 200 yards. I'm looking at Stevenson. He only has 164 yards for 4 games. So this is as bad as it's going to get. A lot of people think that, get rid of Belichick and rebuild. Well, what do you think he's doing? He's rebuilding as he goes.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I feel like a lot of people think like new faces, it's a rebuild. No, you can still do a rebuild while you're still coaching. I think that just a lot of people have high hopes when it comes to Bill Belichick. And I think going back to our metaphor, that band separated. So whatever record that you see now, it's just Bill Belichick. It's not Tom Brady together anymore. So it's like...
Listen, both of these teams are in the exact same situation. We got young quarterbacks in second or third year. We're trying to figure out if they're the franchise or not. And we don't know. There's lots of questions both ends. And we're going to have to make a decision, right? So their contracts are eventually going to come up. And you got to figure out, are these the right people to lead your team? Or do you have to go searching for somebody else? In the meantime, you build your team as best as possible, the guys around them to be competitive as possible. But at the end of the day, I think anyone will tell you, if you want to make the playoffs and have a good team, you have to have a quarterback. So I think any team that doesn't have a franchise quarterback is rebuilding. Even ones that think they may have one and there's questions about them, like both of our teams, we're in rebuild mode right now, no matter how good our defense is. And that's just the truth until we have all the answers on who's, leading the team from a quarterback.
Yeah, and I feel like 4 games is just not enough. Maybe after 8 games, you can kind of tell what kind of team you have. I just feel like this is, too short of a sample. Too small of a sample size. So that's what I feel the state of the Patriots is right now. It's just it's a wait and see, basically what I'm saying. Wait and see. Ron, do you want to add anything else, or do you want to go into week number 5?
Let's get into week 5.
Let's get into week 5 because we have the Saints at the Patriots. Patriots are actually favored by -1.5. Ron, what's your prediction?
I have New Orleans winning 20-19. Don't have a lot of confidence in either of these teams, to be honest with you.
Is Derek Carr playing?
I think he is. He's going to play through the pain.
They have him listed as questionable.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. That's my understanding. Too many injuries. The secondary for the Patriots. Mac Jones, I don't know what to expect. I sort of expect him to bounce back a little bit, to be honest with you. But I got New Orleans winning 20-19.
I got the Patriots winning 21-17, and again, I'm not 100% sure about that score because again, they haven't reached the 20-point mark since game 1, and that was 4 weeks ago. I think that New Orleans can make some dumb mistakes. They have a good defense, but I don't know. To be honest with you, I think whoever scores first wins the game. Whether it's New Orleans or the Patriots, I just have that feeling if the Patriots score first, they're going to win. I have them again 21-17. That, again, I'm not confident. Last week, I was very confident and they shit the bed. So who knows? Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore is favored by 4.5. Ron, what you got?
Listen, Steelers have had a lot of success recently against Baltimore. They really, they've played Lamar pretty well. I think they hold him to like 60% passing, something like that. They force him to fall over a little bit. Having said that, this is a completely different Steelers team. I have no confidence in anything that they're doing, offensively or defensively. I don't have any confidence in the coaching staff, so I'm picking Baltimore to win 17-10. And to be fair, I had Baltimore winning regardless. I had, like I've said before, I have them winning division. But I think Baltimore, and I think their players are getting healthy too. Odell starting was back at practice today. I have 17-10 as the score. Baltimore winning. It wouldn't shock me if we see another 30-6 performance beat down.
I have Baltimore winning 24-1. Again,
how are we getting 21 points?
I was about to say same thing as the Patriots. I have no confidence that they can reach the 20-point mark. I thought last week they were going to do it for sure against the Texans. They didn't. Baltimore is a different animal. So I don't know. It's, what we see during the season at the start and then what's actually happening right now, it's so left-sided. It's like, what is going on? Are we professional? Can we do this on a daily basis? But it's like personnel. It's like, hey, who's your coordinator? Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And for this game, I don't know if, is Kenny playing? Is Mitch playing? It's like, there's so many unknowns right now. But I still have Baltimore winning 24-21. But again, that was just a crapshoot.
I'll be happy with 21. If the offense can get to 21 points, that's a step in the right direction. Yes, that would be. Matt Canada lives another week. Ron, who's your upset special? Yeah, so I looked at this, I think, on what's today, Wednesday? So I may have looked at it yesterday, but I got Minnesota beating Kansas City. So Kansas City is on the road at Minnesota. They're favored by 5. I don't know if that's changed since. But I got Kansas City pulling off an up. I'm sorry, Minnesota pulling off an upset 26-23. And the only reason I'm picking them is because Minnesota, I cannot see them losing a game and falling to
1-4. Yeah, they're 1-3. They just got their first victory last week.
Yeah, that's honestly, I just can't see.
I'm actually surprised about Brian Flores and all the points that he's, because I thought that once they got him into the Minnesota Vikings, that the defense would vastly improve. I mean, they played good last week, but that was against Carolina. So, I mean, go figure. I think that this might, I think this might happen for you because Kansas City didn't look that good against the Jets. I mean, they looked beatable. I don't know if it was Mahomes or it was the defense.
It's both.
It was. I think that they're not as indestructible as they used to be. I have Dallas to San Francisco. I have Dallas winning this game. Even though San Francisco is on the top of my power rankings, I just feel like Dallas has this monkey on their back, and until they beat the Niners, that monkey is just going to be there, going to set up shop in the Dallas back. And I feel like if you can't do it this week when you have Purdy against Dak, who I feel like Dak is maybe a better quarterback, but again, he might make some stupid mistakes and try to do it. So,
yeah.
But I actually have Dallas. It's a 4-point underdog, so I actually have Dallas win. So who do you have, Ron, as your top 5 power rank?
So my top 5 are the same as far as who's there. I think the order is a little bit different. So I still got San Fran on top. I got Philly at number 2. I think that was the same as last week. I got Detroit at number 3. Last week I had Miami there. I got Miami falling to 4, and then Ravens at number 5. So my top 5 are still the same. I think easing behind them, though, just to talk about teams that can get into the top 5, I think Kansas City's probably somewhere near there. Buffalo's probably somewhere near there as well.
Yeah, that's my list is basically the same, except from last week I have San Francisco and Philly. Then I have Buffalo, which is the first time that they actually rank in my list this week or at all this year. Let me just check really quickly. Yeah, so this is actually week 1 they were there. So week 5, Buffalo, Kansas City, and Detroit. The only one that I'm iffy about is Kansas City because they just didn't look very dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can maybe put Baltimore instead of Kansas City in there. Maybe even Miami, but that's the one that I'm not 100% sure that they're, a dominant team. But everyone else is they're just laying down the wood.
Yeah.
They're just laying down the wood.
Yeah, I mean, it's when these rankings, you can't overreact to one game. Lots of people, for example, with the Dolphins, you don't have them in your top 5 anymore, but they put up 70 points 2 weeks ago, and then they lost. They got dump trucked by the Bills. That doesn't necessarily they're not one of the top 5 teams to me. They just had a bad week. So I still think at the end of the day they're one of the top 5 teams. And Buffalo, great win for them, but they have been inconsistent all year long, right? So they gotta go on a little bit of a streak and look better as well. They gotta just be more consistent for me to get them, top 5. So they're 3-1 right now.
The reason why I took Miami out is because I looked at their point differential, and Buffalo Bills at plus 84 and Miami is plus 31. So when you look at their defense of points allowed, Buffalo Bills are 55. Miami Dolphins are 119. So I just feel like Buffalo is a better rounded team. They just beat Miami. So that's the only reason why, to me, I was like, when I looked at that, I was like,
yeah, that's fair.
That's
but I still see a Buffalo team that lost to the Jets. Rodgers. Well, basically, entire game.
That week one, we all know what happened. Josh Allen's 4 interceptions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely not going to win that game. You have 4 turnovers. And then I looked at the other team's point differential, and I looked at the Steelers, negative 38.
Yeah.
I looked at the Patriots, negative 42. It's just, what we're saying is like the offense is just not there. So why even have high hopes for this team?
Yeah.
Everyone else that's basically has a bad offense, negative 45 for Cincinnati Bengals. Then you have negative 50 for the Denver Broncos, negative 39 for the Raiders. So
yeah, it's been some lopsided.
Yes, and you know that the offense is just not consistent. The offense is not consistent, and then the defense is just. If you look at the defense that have hit triple figures, you're like, oh, I can understand why, because they have a bad defense.
Yeah.
So Ron, what do you want to tell the fans out there, the Pittsburgh Steelers fans? What do you want to? The week 5, we're heading into week 5. The teams, Steelers, Patriots are on a very, very low expectation. So what do you want to tell the fans out there?
Win or lose, don't overreact. If we win this game, which is quite possible, again, we play the Raiders well, we'll be in first place. It means nothing. You just talked about the point differential, right? It means nothing if we win this game. There's still a lot of improvement that needs to happen. If we lose this game, it means nothing. There's a lot, like I said, that has to improve on this team regardless. So it's not, realistically, it's not a team that's ready to make a run to the playoffs or do anything in the playoffs. So just keep your expectations low or stay level at least, right? Don't overreact to anything that happens this weekend. Let's keep our eye on the big picture and hope that the team can turn things around culturally in the next couple of years. Season.
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot of words for the New England Patriots fans because I feel like there's a fan base. This is played down the middle, right? There's a fan base that wants Bill Belichick gone, and there's a fan base, which I'm included, that wants Bill Belichick here for the long term, at least until he breaks the record. This is not going to be fixable in 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, whatever the case might be. It might be fixable after 1 year. And, all I can say is hang in there. Don't believe the hype. Don't go in that, don't go into like that Miami fan that we saw that just posted a video of him ranting about like, I can't believe. Listen, settle down. Believe in the process. It's a plan. It's early in the season. It's only 4 games going into week 5. Just, take it easy.
Right.
It's okay.
Yep.
Listen, the magic, you can't repeat the magic. Just be happy that we're here. We're somewhat competitive. Not really, but somewhat competitive. And just take it easy. You'll see a Super Bowl in your lifetime. Don't worry. We'll get there.
Wood.
Maybe not with Bill Belichick, but we'll get there. Just take it easy. Take it easy. That's what I'm saying. Just slow your roll. That's all I'm saying. So in that case, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Shut Your Mouth Podcast at gmail.com. That's ShutYMPodcast at gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.